Well, thanks for joining me in verse number 13 of Matthew 11. Jesus continues, says, all the prophets and the law prophesied until John. And if you're willing to accept, he says, he is Elijah who is to come. He who has ears to hear, let him hear. So many times, we need to get in tune with heaven, get in tune with God, hear what God is saying. That's why in the book of Revelation, when Jesus speaking to the church, he said, let him who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit is saying to the churches. And Prophet Isaiah spoke about a people who will have ears, but they cannot hear, who have eyes, but they cannot see. People whose hearts be hardened against the things of God. And we see that in the world today. People are just not seeing God on the move, what God is saying, what God is doing. He who has ears to hear, let him hear. He says, to what shall I compare this generation? It is like children sitting in the marketplaces and calling to their playmates. Jesus uses a beautiful illustration. He says, we played the flute for you, but you didn't dance. We sang a dirge, a sad song. You didn't mourn. So you're not responding. You're not responding the way we would like you to respond. He says, look, John came neither eating nor drinking. And they say he has a demon. This was John the Baptist, He clothed in camel's hair, a leather belt around his loins, and eating locusts and wild honey. He was lived a very pious a life that was quite separate from the world. And people say, oh, this man is demonized. He's demon possessed. Then here comes Jesus, says the Son of Man came eating and drinking. And they say, oh, look at him. A glutton and a drunkard, a friend of tax collectors and sinners. Yet wisdom is justified by her deeds. They call Jesus a friend of sinners, a friend of tax collectors and sinners. And that's a beautiful compliment, actually. But here's John the Baptist doing one thing. Oh, no, he has a demon. Here's Jesus coming and then saying, oh, he's a friend of sinners. So people cannot really decide. They cannot, decide for one or the other. And whenever something is presented, it's they've always got some excuses. Like today, people talk a lot about what about this and what about that, and what when you bring up spiritual discussions and you want to evangelize here, people bring about there's all these what about and what about and what without going to the basics, without looking at the big picture. We get lost in the whatabouts, and they do not know how to respond. John the Baptist, oh, he has a demon. Jesus comes, the opposite. Oh, they won't accept him. You think they will accept him? No, 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 no. He's a friend of tax collectors and sinners. And the world cannot decide. People cannot decide, okay, what is it do you really want in terms of hearing a message from God? But beloved, every one of us, we're going to stand before God, and we will have to give an account for our lives. And God has revealed himself to us in the scriptures, the Bible, through the preaching of the gospel, through creation, through science. And he's speaking to our hearts, and he's telling us, will you respond? What more do you want? What more do you need? It's time to call upon him, to surrender and believe the gospel. Bless the name of Jesus.